You guys lost a lot of veteran talent, a lot of veteran leaders on this defense last year. How important is it bringing back a guy like Bryce and just having him kind of be in the middle of that defense and finding other leaders on that side of the ball as well?
Yeah, pumped to have Bryce back. He's the best thing about him is he's a lead by action guy. So not a whole lot needs to be said there. He's continuing to increase his value as a vocal leader as well. But when you lead by action, that's the number one leaders I prefer. From a work ethic standpoint, how to play the game standpoint, physicality standpoint. So we're in a situation. I mean, Bryce and like you said, one veteran coming back there, so exciting to have him back. But this is an awesome, exciting challenge right now. We have particularly in the secondary and the D tackle position, we have a complete lack of organ experience, but some really exciting players and potential NFL talent that we're working with. So it's an exciting challenge right now.
Front left, James.
Touch on it there, Tosh, but what's unique about this process of reloading in the secondary this year compared to even a year ago? Because you brought in 3 transfers last year, you bring in 3 this year, a couple still to arrive. But you had a Tyshim back last year, you had a Dante and Nico back.
That's right.
Here, everybody's going to be new in some capacity, in some kind of role, other than maybe Jaleel off an injury. What's unique about this process? What's unique about this challenge in reloading the secondary this offseason?
Yeah, I think again, you got a total lack of organ experience. So whether that's youth or individuals from other places that haven't had the organ experience, the most exciting part is our evaluation in these guys and our development that's led to this point now. So we've got to get these guys from a schematic standpoint, fundamentals and technique standpoint to match the intensity of those 3 guys you just mentioned that's played a lot of reps here. Dante Manning, Tyshim Johnson, Nico Reed that was returning from the 23 season last, right? Now what these guys, walk down the tunnel with is something different when it comes to length, speed, and the potential of what these guys come. So that's the big challenge is can we tap in and maximize the potential that these guys have to offer? And that's really exciting, when it comes to coaching. You love that opportunity when there's a multitude of athletes here now that are really fitting those measurement specs, that we've worked really hard bringing here.
Eric on the left.
You mentioned a lack of organ playing experience, but Dylan obviously doesn't have a scarcity of that at all. How important was it to find a player like that to bring in, and just broadly, what does he provide this defense?
Yeah, if you look at our roster, I believe we played 887 snaps in 14 games. Dylan's coming in as the rep leader, obviously not a part of our defense, played 791 snaps last season. The year before, he played over 800 snaps, so he's got experience playing the game. That's always something we're very critical on, is the portal recruiting. We're going to go over the top. We're going to reach out to every human being we know that has some form of relationship, because you have such a lack of time. When somebody enters the portal, you feel so behind as opposed to where we really cut our teeth, and that's recruiting high school players. So when those individuals like a Dylan, that's always the concern is how committed is this individual? Does he love the game? You can tell so much on film. And that's what's extremely clear to us now with Dylan. This guy is an absolute pro with preparation. So he's an individual that's in here, early, leaving late. He's wanting to do bonus meetings. The millisecond he kind of made this decision to come here, the process really started of, let's learn this defense. So obviously we've only had 2 days of no pads here, but he's certainly doing a nice job leading up to this point. And really, I want to commend, the back end and the, Coach Wadu, Coach Hampton, Coach Boyd, all the guys that play a role in that back end as far as getting these guys prepared. Because, that's something that From my standpoint, we've lessened the volume of defense than we ever have going into year 4 because of the reason of lack of experience there. But these guys have answered the bell really well at this point. As far as uh, operating within the system.
Back left, Matt.
How far along have Platt, Mathudi, Williams come in the year that they've now been on campus, and just kind of the opportunity they have with so little experience at that linebacker spot?
Yeah, I don't think I can answer as far as how far along. They're part of the reason when I'm talking about this excitement, though. Those are 3 names right there. I think those names you just mentioned are consistent at every position. So you have Amari Washington that was a contributor last year. He did play under 300 snaps, but certainly a contributor. Certainly a guy that's going to be competing to start for us. Made some critical plays like he did in the end of the game against Ohio State here the first time around, where he made a huge play and hit the quarterback's arm. I think the second or third to last play of that game, but consistently what you just mentioned is for each position. I could go to each one with Tion Gray, Terrence Green at that position, right? Obviously, the addition of Bear Alexander, kind of fits more in that role of Dylan being a guy that's had some experience in the past, and coming aboard here to contribute now. But to those guys that you mentioned, they've been working their butt off. And that's what we're all excited to see is the fruits of that now. But you walk into a room and you open the door. You say to yourself, okay, those 3 names you just mentioned, from a measurement standpoint, from an acceleration standpoint, athleticism standpoint, these are all 3 potential NFL athletes.
Front right, Zach.
Dan talked about Bear Alexander and just how impressed he was that the work that he's putting in since he got to Eugene. What have you seen from him? What's it been like kind of working with him? I know it's been a short time, but what have your impressions so far?
Yeah, I agree with that. Just another guy that's you don't know all these details, and you do everything you can to research him. And obviously, a guy that's been a part of 2 different programs, now his 3rd. There's going to be natural concerns there, and all you can do is research the heck out of him. Thankfully, we've had a lot of strong relationships at the University of Georgia, both myself and Coach Lanning with past experience. So there's some guys there that we can trust some information, and then have faith in ourselves. If there is some concerns there, that's up to us as far as we make that decision. Then how are we going to attack that? And challenge him. To this point right now, Bear has been, I'd say, one of the hardest workers in the entire defense from a extra work and mental standpoint. So I really appreciate that. And I think, a lot of these things, we're going to find out a lot about each other, once we return back and get the pads on.
Staying here on the front right.
Talking about experience, you guys are bringing back a fair amount of guys in the pass rushing unit, outside linebackers. How do you want to see guys like Mateo, Tatum, Blake take that next step this year and be that much better?
Yeah, I don't think there's not going to be a magic recipe that just shows up on game day. It's going to be all about the process, just like we saw out of Tatum and Mateo being major contributors. Those are our 2 rep count leaders on our entire defense returning. Those guys played a lot of good football, but they both have the mindset that they're here to improve and grow. So you see the jump from the production of Mateo from year 1 to year 2, obviously leading the Big Ten Conference in sacks last season. I think that's simply just the reward to the work he's put in. And then the versatility of Tatum to play multiple positions for us on the edge, be a big contributor. So these guys aren't slowing down one bit as far as their quest to improve. So they're 2 great examples of lead by action guys. So ultimately we want them, a guy like Bryce that you guys mentioned, leading that our culture, our goals to see a defense ultimately playing for something bigger than just himself. Swarming to the ball, attacking the ball, and continuing that dominant tradition, especially over the past 2 seasons, that these guys in the past that have established on the defensive side of the ball.
Two more front left, James.
You find personal motivation any number of places, Tosh. I'm curious what the last couple of months, what have you taken from the Rose Bowl in terms of what do you take from that of what you could either do differently and apply it going forward, and the things that you recognize are uncontrollable. You can't change that you had 5'9" corners. You can going forward, but you can't change that part of it. So what do you take from that game and 34-0 that sticks with you, and how do you try to apply it?
Yeah, I think first I always got to look myself, in the mirror. So, and from a preparation standpoint, we probably utilized too many things that helped us win the first time we beat them, and always be, asking yourself, the what ifs, if they're getting to specific looks or moving around guys that they didn't do in the past. So having a better plan for, they moved number 4 around way more than they had in the past, So having a plan for that, moving forward is necessary and applies, to any team we play. But when obviously they got a lot of strong targets out there, but when they're moving around guys that we're expecting to be in certain places, what's the answers to that? So that was something that I've dove deep into since then. And again, feeling like there was a lot more copycats. When we watched that game and broke it down in the past, of taking bits and pieces from other teams that did work at times versus us. So, just going back almost to a self-scout standpoint of what were the answers, when we did give up an explosive, whether it's, versus Illinois in the game's 38-9, never having the imposter of victory or defeat, affect the way that we, post debrief all those answers. So it stands out there. So improving from that. And I think, you already answered the second piece, as far as control the controllables. So, those same guys that you mentioned that were, in the 5'9" range, those same guys, helped us be, I think it was 10 straight weeks, a number 1 pass defense in the country and lead the nation in PBUs. So credit those guys, to getting us to that point. But moving forward, that was the past. Now we're in the present, and really excited to coach these, young, talented guys, or inexperienced or lack of organ experience guys moving forward.
Last question, Eric on the left.
That was actually kind of where I wanted to go, which is just, I know you're not going to have a sense of where things are at the corner battle now because it's 2 practices in, but what do you like just traits wise amongst this group, and kind of what you could be eventually? And then I just wanted to throw out just kind of Julio Florence. Is that someone you think can be incorporated in that group too?
Yeah, when we're looking for an elite corner, we want to find a guy with a unique length, size, speed combination. So it starts there. We need an individual that can defend the deep third, that can play the ball, with that being said, we need a guy that also has some short area quickness ability, and is a willing physical tackler. So those are the main things that are going to happen when we're evaluating a corner. So you look at these guys that we have on our roster now. You walk into that room, and there's a lot of individuals that are blessed with length, speed, and all the attributes that I just mentioned. So now we got to get those guys playing extremely hard, playing with a relentless manner, right? Playing together, right? Communicating together, and then attacking the ball. So if we get that, we're really confident in what we can do in the future.